On the world stage, Biden, along with Russian President Vladimir Putin, holding that anticipated summit in Geneva yesterday. Cybersecurity was one topic discussed. Many feel a lot of issues were left off the table, though. Joining me right now is Oklahoma Senator, Homeland and Governmental Affairs Committee member Sen Lankford. Senator, it's great to see you again. Thanks so much for your perspective this morning. What did you get out of that summit? Tell me, assess it for us.
Well, obviously they met, and that's the interesting thing. All the press was all doing this huge buildup that Biden's going to actually do a face-to-face with Putin. When George Bush did that, when President Obama did that, when President Trump did that, this is a normal conversation for the two nations to sit down. The stunning moment for me was actually a cybersecurity moment where Biden said, I brought him a list of 16 areas in the United States that he can't attack with cybersecurity. It's jarring to me. I think he should have brought a map of the United States and just laid that out and said, here's everything you can attack. I don't know what's not on the list because they didn't release the list at this point. But he said there's certain areas that Russia shouldn't attack. I guess saying certain areas they can. At the end of the day, we need to be able to push back very clearly to Russia and to say to Putin, no, we're off limits. And yes, we're going to hold you accountable and be able to push back and not give them a do not touch list, but a wink, wink, nod, nod. You can attack these other areas.
Yeah, I am really stumped by this, Senator, the fact that Biden would come out with a list of the 16 most vulnerable areas and say, don't touch these, as if Putin is our friend and is going to just say, oh, OK, right. Yeah, we won't hack your nuclear facilities. No. I mean, what was the thinking of sharing all of that information?
I don't know. Basically, he laid out and said, here's where we're most vulnerable. Don't attack these spots. And then said to him, OK, we're going to work together in our countries to be able to isolate this. Of course, Putin's response was, we don't do cyber hacking. No, this is not happening in our country. The United States does more cyber hacking. And so while Biden is in one spot saying we're working together on this, we talked it all out and we're going to have this joint cooperation on it, Putin's saying not even us, it's all them.
Well, I mean, what is your take overall on this administration's foreign policy? I mean, you've studied now all of these policies and looked at his handling of Russia, of China, of Iran. How do you assess foreign policy out of the Biden administration right now?
I don't think anyone knows at this point, and that's the greatest risk. When I talk to business folks, they ask one question: what is our policy with China? Just tell us how to plan. We're trying to figure out what's going on. No one knows what our policy with China is right now. No one knows what our policy is with Central America at this point. Obviously, the vice president was just down in Central America. She's meeting and saying, don't come about illegal aliens. And literally the president of Guatemala then speaks out immediately and says the Biden administration is giving a double message here. No one knows what their messages here. Same in the Middle East between Israel and Iran.
Yeah.
The Israel message changed over and over again during the conflict of late. And so we really didn't know where we were standing at that point. So it's not just with China and Russia. It seems to be with every area. There is no clear articulable plan.
Well, look, Nancy Pelosi has said that a person's budget gives you a window into priorities. So Biden's budget was released on the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, the long holiday weekend. And in it, we see that there is a decline in defense spending, while you have an increase in spending at the EPA of 22%. Then you've got $80 billion proposed to go into the IRS so that they can hire 87,000 new auditors. Now, the FBI is opening an investigation into the IRS tax leak of some of the wealthiest Americans. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett's tax returns were leaked. Treasury Secretary Yellen commented on the leak during the Senate Finance Committee hearing yesterday. Listen to what she said. I've got to get your reaction. Watch.
We've referred this matter to the Treasury Inspector General. We're only 1 week out on this, and I really want to emphasize we do not know what happened. We don't have any facts at this point. I promise to keep you updated.
So they don't know what happened, Senator. I think I know what happened. Somebody saw personal tax returns and they leaked them to ProPublica to make the case that a wealth tax or higher taxes for the richest Americans was a good idea. What do you think happened?
Yeah, it was pretty clear. That was actually her conversation with Senator John Thune. Just a few minutes later, I had the same conversation with Janet Yellen during that time period back and forth to be able to press and to say, here's my problem with this. it's very obvious that this information leaked out of the IRS. It's very thorough tax returns that have been leaked out. Those are not going to be accidental. So someone in the IRS leaked this out. As I said on the floor of the Senate last week, we've seen this movie before during the Obama-Biden administration when they were using Lois Lerner and they were actually weaponizing the IRS to be able to accomplish their goals. It's the same thing that's happening now where they're weaponizing the IRS to be able to do this. I reminded her that it is a federal offense. It is a felony for that employee or anyone else to be able to leak out that information, but it's also a felony for ProPublica to actually publish information that they know is tax information, and even in the article they say they verified it, they know it's accurate tax information, and so it is a felony for them to also publish that information. This is not free journalism. This is taking stolen material that they know is stolen and actually putting it out in the public sphere. That is also a felony, and so every time they release any tax returns on anyone, that's another felony. And the one more thing I can say on it, Marita, the IRS asked during their budget to get the information for every $600 for every American. Every transaction of $600 or more to the bank, they want that record to the IRS. So literally they're looking for more information on every American that they've already shown they can't actually protect that information that people have now.
Well, that's right. They want to have a window into the flows in your bank accounts. It's absolutely extraordinary, and it feels like communist China. And then there's these big tech bills. Congressional lawmakers, it was last Friday that the House Judiciary Committee unveiled 5 antitrust bills targeting big tech's growing power. My sources tell me that these bills are only giving the Biden administration more power and control over these platforms in a way that would make them beholden to woke bureaucrats. I mean, look, for example, Commissioner Becca Slaughter has tweeted out about the need to use antitrust law to address systemic racism. Really? This is what they want to do with these big tech laws. Then Representative Scanlon's Access Act, this might be the worst of all. Her bill creates technical committees to oversee these companies. These committees will be not subject to the FAC Committees Act, which means they will meet in secret and tell these companies how to run their business. And what is, a covered company? They have to be $600 billion in market value. They have to have an online presence. So how soon before other companies, in addition to big tech, is on this list having to deal with this committee to tell them how to run their business, Senator?
Yeah, we've actually already seen that, and you've watched it very well. The woke capitalism that's moving across the country is where individuals are using their leverage to be able to get people onto different boards, and when they get there, to be able to take over and say, this company, though it sells X product, it has to also advertise Y as well, because that's more woke. They're now seeing legislation, and the amazing thing is so many of these tech companies are the woke companies, but they're finding out from the far left in the House and the Senate that it's not enough, that they're going to continue to have more and more control. This is the nature of the direction they want to go. This is what all of us talked about with socialism, is to say that these individuals in the House and the Senate want to take companies over and not have them privately run, have someone in Washington, D.C. or someone they can manage these different companies so they do what they want to do. That's not who we are as Americans. Now, we do protect antitrust. I do say to some Democrats, welcome to the conversation about some of the issues with big tech and some of the things they're doing, but this is not the answer, is to be able to go take over companies and to say we're just going to run it from D.C.
So do you think these bills have any chance of passing in the House? I mean, what happens when they get to the Senate? I don't know. I mean, we've seen a lot of censorship by big tech, and I know that conservatives are constantly censored on these platforms. Something tells me that the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Gerald Nadler, is not too worried and focused on making sure conservatives are not censored in these bills.
I would say he's not real worried about that. So we'll see what actually comes out of the House of Representatives. I can tell you the Trump administration started a DOJ investigation on antitrust on current law with some of the big tech companies. So we'll see what DOJ continues in the current investigation there as well.
Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much. You're on the front lines there, and we appreciate your work.